19 goals in 11 games, 18 goals conceded. A team that finished 15th last season, rock bottom, the worst campaign in their modern history. And now they've got the most dangerous front three in the Premier League, and nobody saw it coming. Benjamin ŠEŠKO, BRYAN MBEUMO, MATHEUS CUNHA. 3 names that 6 months ago would have made you laugh if someone told you they'd be leading Manchester United's resurrection. But here's the thing. While everyone was busy writing United's obituary, Ruben Amorim was quietly assembling an attack that doesn't just score goals. It hunts them. It suffocates defences. It makes Premier League centre-backs wake up in cold sweats. And if you don't believe me, just ask the teams who've tried to stop them. Spoiler alert, they couldn't. Let's rewind for a second. Because to understand how insane this transformation is, you need to remember where Manchester United were just a few months ago. 15th place. 15th. A club that's won 20 Premier League titles, 13 FA Cups, 3 European Cups, finishing below Bournemouth, below Brentford, below teams that didn't even exist 20 years ago. The defence wasn't even the main problem. Sure, they leaked goals, 54 in 38 games last season, but you know what was worse? The attack, or lack of it. Last season, United scored the fewest goals they've ever managed in a Premier League campaign. 44 goals. That's what you get when your strikers are Rasmus Højlund, who couldn't finish his dinner, and a bunch of wingers who forgot how to shoot. The Europa League final against Tottenham summed it up perfectly. United kept it tight at the back, did everything right defensively, and then when it mattered, when they needed someone, anyone, to step up and score, nothing. They didn't manage to put the ball in the net. Simple as that. So when Ruben Amorim walked through the doors at Old Trafford last summer, he knew exactly what needed fixing. And he didn't mess around. Nearly £200 million, 3 signings, 1 mission. Make Manchester United scary again. And you know what? It's working. Let's start with the big man, Benjamin ŠEŠKO, 6'5", 22 years old, £73.7 million from RB Leipzig. And before he'd even kicked a ball for United, people were already calling him the next Erling Haaland. Here's the problem with that. He's not Haaland, and that's exactly why he's perfect for Manchester United. See? Everyone looks at ŠEŠKO and sees the obvious stuff. He's tall. He's quick. His top speed hit 35.7 kilometers per hour in the Bundesliga, which is basically the same as Haaland. He's got that same Red Bull DNA, that same explosive sprint that tears defenses apart. So yeah, on paper, the comparison makes sense. But here's what people miss. Haaland is a predator, a finisher, a guy who waits in the box, gets the ball and bangs it in. He averages 23 touches per game. That's the fewest of any elite striker in the world. Over 70% of his goals come from one-touch finishes inside the box. He doesn't build the play, he ends it. And that's fine for Manchester City, because they've got Bernardo Silva and Phil Foden creating chances for him all day long. But United don't have that. Not yet anyway. What United needed was someone who could do more than just finish. They needed a footballer, and that's exactly what ŠEŠKO is. This guy doesn't just wait for the ball, he goes and gets it. He drops deep, links with the midfield, drags centre-backs out of position, and creates space for MBEUMO and CUNHA to exploit. His pressing success rate at Leipzig was in the top 5% of Bundesliga forwards. That means he's not just standing around waiting for service. He's hunting the ball, winning it back, and starting attacks himself. And here's a stat that'll blow your mind. Last season at Leipzig, ŠEŠKO averaged 0.6 key passes per game. That's remarkable for a striker his size. Most big men are there to hold the ball up and lay it off. ŠEŠKO's out here, threading passes between defenders like he's a number 10. But let's talk about what he was actually brought in to do, score goals. And yeah, he can do that too. 2 goals in 11 Premier League appearances so far. Not earth-shattering, but here's the thing. His touches in the opposition box are way higher, 25. That means he's getting into the right positions, he's creating chances, he's just still adjusting to the pace of the Premier League. And at 22 years old, with AMORIM coaching him, the finishing will come. Did you know that ŠEŠKO has a 29% conversion rate on headed shots? That's almost double what most elite strikers manage. And for a United team that took the fewest headed shots and scored the fewest headed goals in the league last season, that's a massive upgrade. Suddenly, when Diallo or Dalot whip in a cross, there's actually someone in the box who can attack it. But here's what really makes ŠEŠKO special, his versatility. He can play as a traditional number 9, holding the ball up and bringing others into play. Or he can drop deeper and play as a second striker, linking with CUNHA and MBEUMO in those tight spaces. And because he's so comfortable on the ball, because his first touch is so clean, he gives AMORIM options. Tactical flexibility, something United haven't had in years. The comparisons to Haaland are lazy. ŠEŠKO isn't trying to be Haaland. He's trying to be the best version of himself. And if he keeps developing under AMORIM, if he keeps getting into those positions, if that finishing clicks, then United might have something even better than a pure goal scorer. They might have a complete striker. Now, let's talk about the guy on the right, BRYAN MBEUMO. And if you're not scared of this man yet, you haven't been paying attention. Last season at Brentford, MBEUMO scored 20 goals. 20, he was the 4th top scorer in the entire Premier League. He was the 2nd highest expected goals over performer in Europe's top 5 leagues. That means he was taking chances that most players would miss and burying them over and over and over again. And here's the crazy part. He was doing all of that for Brentford, a team that spent most of their time defending, scrapping for points, fighting to stay in the league. Imagine what he can do now that he's got Bruno Fernandes feeding him passes, CASEMIRO winning the ball back, and ŠEŠKO dragging defenders all over the place. MBEUMO is a left-footed inverted winger who thrives cutting inside from the right. But he's not one-dimensional. He can go outside, hit the byline, deliver with either foot. That variety makes him a nightmare to defend because you can never predict what he's going to do. Is he cutting inside for a shot? Is he taking you on down the line? Is he whipping in a cross for ŠEŠKO? You don't know. And by the time you figure it out, the ball's in the back of the net. His pace is another weapon. Only a handful of players in the league scored more goals from fast breaks than him last season. And United's counter-attack lost its biggest threat when Marcus Rashford was shipped out in February, and MBEUMO fills that gap instantly. The moment United win the ball back, he's already sprinting, already making that run in behind, already putting the fear of God into fullbacks who thought they had a second to breathe. But here's what really separates MBEUMO from other wingers: his work rate. At Brentford, he regularly tracked back to cover his fullback, dropped into defensive midfield positions when needed, and wasn't afraid to put in tackles. That's huge for AMORIM's system, where wide players have to be as committed off the ball as they are on it. And the numbers back it up. So far, this season, MBEUMO's got 5 goals and 1 assist in 11 Premier League appearances. Not spectacular, but remember, he's still adjusting to a new team, a new system, a new set of teammates. His expected goals sit at 5.2 and his expected assists at 2.54. That means he's creating chances, he's getting into dangerous positions, and once that chemistry with ŠEŠKO and CUNHA fully clicks, those numbers are going to explode. Here's another stat. MBEUMO completed 21 dribbles this season with a 43% success rate. That's in the 99th percentile for carries into the final third. This guy is constantly driving at defenders, constantly creating overloads, constantly making something happen. And his link up with Amad Diallo on that right side is starting to look telepathic. Diallo gets forward, MBEUMO tucks inside, MBEUMO gets the ball, Diallo overlaps. They're creating 2-on-1s, they're pulling defenders out of position, and they're making life absolute hell for opposition left-backs. Did you know that since joining United, MBEUMO ranks in the top 20% in the league for shot-creating actions? That's not just goals and assists. That's the passes, the dribbles, the movements that lead directly to shots. He's involved in everything. The scary part? He's only going to get better as he builds that understanding with his teammates, as he learns AMORIM's system inside and out, as he gets more comfortable at Old Trafford. Those 20-goal seasons at Brentford are going to look like a warm-up. And then there's MATHEUS CUNHA, the guy who makes absolutely no sense until you watch him play. And then suddenly, everything clicks. Cunha's got this pattern, right? He joins a new club, and for the first few months, nothing happens. 0 goals, 0 assists. People look at the stats and go, what did we just spend £74.2 million on? And then, out of nowhere, he flips a switch and becomes unplayable. It happened at Atletico Madrid. 0 goals in 11 games. Then he finished the season with 6 goals and 4 assists. It happened at Wolves. 0 goals and 0 assists in his first 8 games. Then he ended up with 15 goals and 6 assists last season, carrying that entire team on his back. And it's happening again at United. 523 minutes without a goal, critics circling, fans getting nervous, and then Brighton. A beautiful curl into the corner, drought over, and now 1 goal in 10 Premier League appearances. Not amazing, but here's what you need to understand. The numbers don't tell the story with Cunha. They never have. Because while everyone's staring at the score sheet, Cunha's doing the dirty work that makes everyone else better. He's dropping deep to collect the ball. He's dragging centre-backs into areas they don't want to be. He's creating space for MBEUMO and ŠEŠKO to exploit. He's pressing like a maniac, winning the ball back in dangerous areas and starting attacks that end with someone else scoring. And the data proves it. Over the past 365 days, Cunha ranks in the 95th percentile among Premier League forwards for drawing fouls, 95%. That means defenders are constantly late, constantly grabbing his shirt, constantly fouling him because they can't stop him any other way. He's in the 99th percentile for carries into the final third. This guy's constantly driving at defences, constantly breaking lines, constantly creating chaos. His shot-creating actions are in the top 20%, his successful take-ons are in the top 20%. And even his recoveries, winning the ball back, are in the top 25%. For a forward, that's insane. Here's the thing about Cunha. At Wolves, he was doing all of this for a team that spent most of their time pinned back, fighting for survival, scrapping for every point. Now he's at Manchester United, with better players around him, with Bruno Fernandes feeding him passes, with MBEUMO making runs off him, with ŠEŠKO occupying defenders. He's supercharged, supported, unleashed. And the scary part, he's only 26. He's entering his prime. And if his pattern holds, if history repeats itself, then that slow start is about to turn into an absolute explosion. Did you know that Cunha completed 28 dribbles this season with a 54% success rate? He's constantly taking players on, constantly beating them, constantly making defenders look silly. And in a league that's obsessed with pace and power, Cunha's got both, plus the technical ability to match. The Premier League should be terrified because MATHEUS CUNHA fools everyone early. Slow numbers, quiet scorelines, defenders relax, and then he flips the switch every single time. From Brazil to Switzerland to Germany to Spain to England. The pattern never changes, and when he does explode, someone's getting embarrassed. So we've got 3 incredible attackers. But here's the thing, talent alone doesn't win you titles. You need a system, you need a structure, you need a manager who knows how to get the best out of his players. And that's what AMORIM brings. AMORIM's philosophy is simple. Control doesn't come from possession, it comes from who's in the lead. And that's why United start games like their lives depend on it. First 15 minutes, they're playing fast, direct, vertical. They're trying to score first. Because once you're ahead, you control the game state. The opponent has to chase. They have to open up. And that's when United kills you. The formation is a 3-4-3, but it's fluid. It changes depending on whether United have the ball or not. When they're attacking, it looks like a 3-2-5. The wing-backs push high, the two 10s, MBEUMO and CUNHA, drift inside, and ŠEŠKO leads the line. When they're defending, it drops into a 5-4-1. The wing-backs tuck in, the 10s drop deep, and suddenly United have 10 men behind the ball, compact and organised. And here's the genius part. AMORIM's system is built around getting the ball to his front three as quickly as possible. If you can get it to CUNHA, MBEUMO and ŠEŠKO in 2 passes, you do it in 2 passes, no messing around, no slow build-up, just direct, aggressive, vertical football. And it's working. United now are 5th in the Premier League in expected goals. The volume of shots and touches inside the opposition box has surged. The only problem? Conversion. They're not finishing all of those chances yet. But that's not a coaching issue. That's a confidence issue. And with AMORIM drilling them every day, that'll come. But the system doesn't just help the attackers. It helps everyone. Because when United lose the ball, the transition is instant. The 10s drop. The wing-backs tuck in. BRUNO and CASEMIRO form a double pivot. And suddenly you're facing a wall of bodies. No space, no time, no options. And when United win it back, boom, CUNHA drives forward. MBEUMO makes the run. ŠEŠKO holds it up. BRUNO threads the pass. And you're scrambling, trying to get back. But it's too late. They're already in your box with 5 attackers, and you've got no chance. But let's talk about the guys who make it all possible. Because you can have the best attack in the world, but if your midfield can't get them the ball, it doesn't matter. Bruno Fernandes, the captain, the creator, the guy who's been carrying this team on his back for years. Last season, he had 8 goals and 10 assists in all competitions. And this season, even though the team's been inconsistent, Bruno's still delivering 2 goals and 3 assists in 11 Premier League games. Not his best, but he's still the heartbeat of this team. And here's the thing. Because AMORIM's brought in CUNHA and MBEUMO, Bruno doesn't have to do everything anymore. He doesn't have to be the only creator. He doesn't have to take every free kick, every corner, every set piece. He can pick his moments. He can focus on what he does best, threading those killer passes, hitting those free kicks, dictating the tempo. And then there's CASEMIRO, the shield, the destroyer, the guy who's supposed to be past it, washed up, finished. Except he's not. This season, CASEMIRO's been reborn. 3 goals and 1 assist in 10 Premier League games. 3 goals from a defensive midfielder. That's more than most strikers. And defensively, he's been massive. AMORIM's tweaked the system to give CASEMIRO less space to cover. Instead of defending huge areas on his own, he's now got the 10s dropping back to help. He's got the wing-backs tucking in. He's got less ground to cover, which means he can focus on what he does best, winning the ball, breaking up play, starting attacks. The problem? He's 33, turning 34 in February, and around the 65-minute mark, he starts to tire. That's when AMORIM usually brings on Ugarte, and that's when things get shaky. Because Ugarte's not CASEMIRO. He doesn't have that same positional sense. He doesn't have that same calmness. He chases the ball instead of cutting off passing lanes, and that opens up gaps. But for now, when CASEMIRO's on the pitch, United are a different team. They're solid, they're organised, they're dangerous, and that midfield partnership with Bruno is the foundation everything else is built on. Now, let's be real. United's defence is still a work in progress. 18 goals conceded in 11 games isn't great. It's not terrible, but it's not title-winning form either. The back three of Shaw, De Ligt and Euro has been solid at times, shaky at others. Euro's only 20 and still adjusting. De Ligt's improving, but still makes the occasional mistake. And Shaw has struggled throughout his career with recurring injuries and periods of low match fitness. The wing-backs, Diallo and Dalot, are more focused on attacking than defending. which is fine when United are on the front foot, but when they're under pressure, it leaves gaps. And then there's the goalkeeper, Senna Lammens, the guy nobody had heard of 6 months ago. And you know what? He's been quietly brilliant. He doesn't make highlight reel saves. He doesn't fly across the goal like a superhero. What he does is bring calmness, composure, control. When United are being pressed, when the trap is closing, Lammens doesn't panic. He doesn't just boot it long. He finds the angle. He plays it short to the centre back. He keeps the ball moving. And that calmness spreads through the entire team. The defence isn't perfect, but it's improving. And with AMORIM drilling them every day, with the system getting tighter, with the players understanding their roles better, it'll get there. So here's where it gets interesting, because Manchester United aren't just trying to finish in the top 4. They're not just trying to qualify for the Champions League. The expectations are way higher than that. The fans want a title. They want to see United back at the top, competing with City and Arsenal and Liverpool. They want to see Old Trafford rocking again. They want to see that fear factor return. And the owners, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, they've invested heavily. Nearly £200 million on 3 attackers. They've backed AMORIM. They've given him a 3-year timeline. But they want results. They want to see progress. They want to see United moving in the right direction. And here's the problem. United are still dealing with financial issues. They can't just throw money at every problem. They've got to be smart. They've got to be strategic. They've got to make every signing count. But the good news, this attack is the real deal. ŠEŠKO, MBEUMO and CUNHA aren't just good players. They're the foundation of something special. They're young, they're hungry, they're talented. And under AMORIM, they're only going to get better. So here's the bottom line. Manchester United's attack is terrifying. Not because they're scoring 5 goals a game, not because they're breaking records, but because of what they represent. They represent a club that's finally got a plan, a structure, a system. They represent 3 players who complement each other perfectly. ŠEŠKO's hold-up play, MBEUMO's pace and finishing, CUNHA's chaos and creativity. And they represent a manager who knows exactly how to get the best out of them. The conversion will come, the goals will flow, the chemistry will click. And when it does, the rest of the Premier League better watch out. Because Manchester United aren't just back, they're evolving. They're building something that could dominate for years. And it all starts with this front 3. ŠEŠKO, MBEUMO, CUNHA. 3 names you need to remember. Because they're about to terrorize the Premier League. If you want to see how AMORIM's tactics are transforming the entire team, not just the attack, click the video on your screen right now. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe, because we've got more tactical deep dives coming your way. See you in the next one.